Mesut Ozil to Manchester United in January in a sensational swap deal with Eric Bailly is the latest Manchester United transfer news. We'll also be talking about Anthony Martial, Toby Alderweireld, Paul Pogba, Paulo Dybala, the youth setup, and what Jose Mourinho is actually going to be doing at Manchester United over the next few months. If we can stick in this, Gary Neville said it last week, if we can stick in this title race up until January, even though that may seem unlikely, then who knows, Woodward may well back Mourinho. Because, as I said last night, there is no doubting that Jose Mourinho is the man with the power at Manchester United at the moment. It changes week to week, but he is in power. So let's start off with this Ozil story, because when I picked it up over the weekend, I was like, well, I mentioned that brilliant headline last night, Manchester United target Arsenal coward, which just made me laugh, but actually it's to do with Jose Mourinho previously, when Ozil was at Real Madrid, called him a coward, but they do actually get on very, very, very well. So where does this come from? Why is it relevant? Because last January, there was a lot of people, myself included, who thought we might take Sanchez and Ozil from Arsenal, but Ozil signed a new contract. We got Alexis Sanchez. Great. But this is to do with the fact that Ozil, obviously, he's had a few bad months, to be fair to him. He's left Germany, the German national team, because of some very abusive trolling from the media and fans over there. So he's retired from international duty. He's come to Arsenal. And there's reports that he doesn't get on that well with Emery. He's not had the best start to the season. Now, some Arsenal fans would quite happily give him up to Manchester United. My theory is that Mourinho would love Ozil to come to Manchester United. And obviously, we did do a swap deal with him last year. So it shows that it can be done. Mkhitaryan, there. Sanchez, here. Eric Bailly, over the weekend. Didn't play for United yet again. Definitely the best centre-back we've got. Reportedly not very happy, reportedly not a great relationship with Mourinho, much like Martial, much like Pogba, has to be part of the equation that he could leave Manchester United. Spurs and Arsenal interested in Bailly. Spurs probably don't need Bailly, they've got some good defenders. Arsenal do need Bailly. We might want Ozil, that's where it starts to happen. But for me, this is a bit like, why are we looking at a player like Mesut Ozil? Why are we looking at a player who, again, is nearly 30, is massively inconsistent, and is yet another attacking midfield player or a playmaker player? It really is like the man or woman, because women like cars as well. They certainly do. It's like Manchester United are like that man or woman who buy lots and lots of cars and put them in the garage but never drive them. And we've done this consistently. I mean, you look about it, all right, Mourinho inherited Mata, never gets used as the number 10. Mkhitaryan's been and gone. Sanchez hasn't worked. Martial not getting the best out of him. Rashford not getting the best out of him. I mean, that's 5 straight away. And then we're going to buy Mesut Ozil, another one who falls into that equation. And why would we get the best out of him when we haven't got the best out of those 5 players? And I feel that United get constantly linked with these number 10 players who can play off the wing, but we never get the best out of them. So why are we looking at that sort of a player? I personally just don't see it happening at all. I don't know what you lot think. Preet says it's not possible. I don't think it's possible at all. But this is the transfer show. We're here to talk about it. So, fly in with your comments. But personally, I don't want Mesut Ozil at Manchester United. I considered it last January, but he's a player that goes missing way, way too much. It's not what Manchester United need at all. And I don't really care whether Mourinho gets on with him. I don't really care if Mourinho thinks he can get the best out of him. The history with Mourinho at Manchester United is he's not getting the best out of attacking players. So why should we go and buy another one? And this leads nicely into the Paulo Dybala, because I want to talk about Bailly a little bit more. I want to talk about Martial, but I want to talk about Paulo Dybala because he was mentioned over the weekend. £190 million is his value, which I think is fair. If you've been watching any Serie A, he's not doing very well at Juventus. With Ronaldo there, it's sort of stifling him a little bit. He doesn't look happy at Juventus, and maybe I thought he might go in the summer, but the summer was so convoluted it didn't happen. So Manchester United get linked to Dybala. Juventus would love to bring Pogba back to Juventus, to Turin. Pogba probably more likely to go to Spain, but may consider. I think Pogba would go back to Juventus now rather than stay at United. I think he'd love to be back there. So would United and Dybala, Pogba, Dybala, would that dynamic work well for Manchester United? Well, a lot of United fans, again, are saying, yeah, I've had enough of Pogba, get rid of him, Dybala's absolutely perfect. And again, why? Why is this, again, another attacking midfielder, another number 10, another attacker who can play him from the wing, like your Ozil thing? realistically, why would we want to do that? Why would we want to do that? It's too much money to risk on another attacker. I mean, Manchester United, let's be totally blunt about this. Why would you get rid of Pogba to bring in another attacking player when everybody knows United problem is we're not getting the best out of the great attackers that we've got? And I think Alexis Sanchez is a very good attacker. I think Martial is. I think Mata is. I think Mkhitaryan was. I think Lingard can be. I think Rashford will be. But if we didn't have Romelu Lukaku at the moment, for all the criticism Lukaku gets, look at the goals that Manchester United score. How many good goals do we score? How many goals do we score where it's creative? A lot of our, you look back at our goals, they're quick, they're clinical, and a lot of them come from set pieces, mistakes from the opposition, but we don't carve teams open, and that's because we don't get the best out of the Sanchez, the Martial, the Ozil if they came, the Dybala, the Mkhitaryan who's been here, the Mata who's been here. We don't get the best out of those players. Rooney, when he was here, we don't get the best out of that attacking player. So why would we want to buy more? Because the reason we don't get the best out of those players is not because all of them are failures. I mean, they have to take responsibility, but they don't get enough of the ball to be creative. And who gives them the ball to be creative? The only midfielder we've got at the moment, because Fred's on the bench, Pereira's not being used, McTominay, Fellaini, Matic are not creators. The only creative force we've got in the midfield to feed those attackers, and he doesn't do it enough, but he's the only one, is Paul Pogba. So why would you go and get rid of Pogba to bring in Dybala? It's like having a gun with no bullets. It's like boiling an egg and not having a spoon to smash it open. It's like buying a Ferrari and not putting any petrol in it. And Pogba's the petrol, Pogba's the bullet, Pogba's the spoon on the boiled egg. That's the thing. Yeah, the boiled egg's nice. Yeah, the car's nice. Yes, the gun's nice, but if you haven't got the thing to make it work, it's irrelevant. And United need Pogba. They need Fred. They need more. They need Pereira. They need those players to get the best out of the attackers we've got. So I don't want Dybala. I don't want Mesut Ozil because they don't solve the problem. They're brilliant signings. We'd all get excited about it, but would we get excited about it? We all got excited about Alexis Sanchez. I don't think United fans would be... I don't think we would be... massively excited by Dybala. I mean, technically we would be, but I think there'd be a lot of concern about it, and certainly Ozil there would be, because we'd be like, yeah, these are exciting signings, but we've been down this road with Sanchez, we've been down this road with Mkhitaryan, where we've gone, this is going to make us a better attacking dynamic, this is going to really make us a lot better. It's the midfield, it's the defence, it's the ball from back to front. We've got the attackers, and I'll always, look, what I said yesterday about Alexis Sanchez, he doesn't get enough stick compared to what Pogba and Martial gets. His performances have been very, very poor. But I always balance that by saying it's very, very difficult in a Manchester United side to shine if you are a player in the final third who wants to create things, because you don't get enough of the ball. Lukaku is invaluable because he can live off scraps, you can chuck a ball in the box, you can put a cross in every now and again and he'll get on the end of it. He is absolutely essential. People like Fellaini, people like Chris Smalling, they are essential to Manchester United in an attacking sense at the moment, because we don't score good goals. We don't score creative goals. We score goals from opposition mistakes or set pieces and things like that. We don't get the best. I mean, how many assists has Sanchez got this season? How many assists has Martial got this season? How many assists has Rashford got? Lingard got? Mata got? I can't think of any. Maybe one, but. We have scored a few goals. But they should be creating a lot more, because we should be doing better from the back to the front. Which makes me think about the defence, because I mean, Anthony Martial, just very quickly, let's talk about Anthony Martial for a moment. Actually, let's take some of your comments. Bailly is a title-winning centre-back, in my opinion, says B. Yakov. Well, yeah, I do want to dwell on Eric Bailly for a moment. Eric Bailly should not be leaving Manchester United. This is a transfer show, so I don't want to dwell too much on who should be playing and not, but we've spent a lot of money on Fred. He's not playing at the moment. Pereira committed to United after a great summer. He's not playing at the moment. But Eric Bailly is probably the biggest one. You know, we can talk about Martial, we can talk about Rashford, we can talk about Fred. But Eric Bailly is our best centre-back. He is our best centre-back. I mean, Chris Smalling, I like him, but he's the best third-choice centre-back in the country. I don't think you win a title with Chris Smalling. Fantastic and unreliable as he's been over the last 18 months. I like Smalling. I don't like Phil Jones as footballers. But Smalling should always be your backup. And he will play 30 to 40 games a season, because that's what happens when you're the third choice. You might play in a back three. There might be a suspension. There might be an injury. So Smalling's very important. So Smalling's by the by. But I would be playing Smalling and Bailly. They should be our centre-backs at the moment. I mean, Lindelof, I feel that Lindelof needs 10 games. And if that's Mourinho's plan, great. But I feel that Lindelof is so, Fellaini in the last couple of games. Herrera against Spurs, it's sort of somebody to hold Lindelof's hand. We are overcompensating at the back because there isn't that trust to play a back two. He doesn't want to play Smalling and Lindelof. I suspect when Phil Jones is back, Lindelof disappears again, which is terrifying. But why is Eric Bailly, when fit, he's been to Ivory Coast, why is Eric Bailly not playing for Manchester United? Colossal against Brighton. Sorry, not against Brighton, against Leicester. Virtually man of the match with Luke Shaw. And then against Brighton, he had a bad game. He's not played since. There's a clash. There's a clash with Mourinho and Bailly. I don't know what it is, but Eric Bailly is our best defender. I've said that for a long time. Why is he not playing? Would he be sold? Again, another Mourinho signing, and that does concern me, but I don't have the answers. I don't think anybody has the answers. There are personality clashes. There are issues within that dressing room. But if Eric Bailly leaves Manchester United, it's a mistake because he's not a Lindelof, who I believe in, but has a growth to go. Eric Bailly is our best centre-back. Needs to play. But these rumours about him wanting to leave could well be true. There's been an issue with Eric Bailly since last March. If you remember the international break last March, and Bailly hardly played April and May, and that's continued this season. Our best centre-back's not playing. We're looking at a centre-back as well. Maybe that's always been the plan with Jose Mourinho, because Smalling and Jones play consistently. Eric Bailly doesn't. So it's interesting. It is interesting. Sanchez out for Dybala, says Abdullah. Look, Alexis Sanchez is not going to leave Manchester United. He's going to keep playing and playing and playing. People saying that Scott McTominay is very humble. I'm extremely humble. Can I play for United? Need the check, says Russell Neoni. Well, it's not going to be a Scott McTominay show, but I do realise. Mad Marcus says that Bailly is a good defender, but he's made of glass. Yeah, but he's not actually been injured at the moment, Marcus, has he? That's not why he's not playing at the moment. It's not about fitness. This is about, and I don't disagree with you there, but it's not about fitness at the moment. This is about what Mourinho wants to do. Let's talk about Anthony Martial. Anthony Martial, I mean, look, I love Anthony Martial. No one's ever going to change my opinion on that. If you don't, that's up to you. But Martial and Manchester United and Mourinho is a very, very interesting dynamic. I don't see that. I said in April Martial needed to leave, and I didn't want him to leave, but I just don't see that relationship ever building at all. So Martial leaving Manchester United. There's been mention of Inter Milan, but that's fallen through. There's been mention of Martial and Perisic. I mean, this deal should have been done 18 months ago, not now. I mean, Perisic I do like, but again, you're buying somebody who's nearly 30 now and you're selling a 22-year-old as part of that deal. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, but the Anthony Martial dynamic is very, very interesting. I can't be bothered with arguing with people about this. I think you either like him or you don't. I like him. I think he's got the potential. I think if he was playing for Liverpool or he was playing for Man City, he would be in the same sentence as Salah and De Bruyne. I think he is that good. I just don't think he suits Jose Mourinho, and I don't think Martial suits Mourinho either. So we've got to find a solution to that. I was surprised that he might be signing a new contract. That looks a little bit more unlikely now. It doesn't make sense for Martial to sign a new contract. Why should he sign a new contract when Mourinho doesn't want to use him? And why should Mourinho have a player signing a long-term contract when he doesn't want to use him? So I don't know what's going to happen with Martial. I suspect we're probably not going to see much of Martial between now and January, and maybe that's when a deal will be done, because I just don't see him playing many games. I think that's very sad, but that's what it is. Interestingly, what I would say just on that is that you've got Mason Greenwood, you've got Tahith Chong, you've got Angel Gomez, all very good creative talents coming through the youth setup. Probably not quite ready yet, but what is their future? How are they going to get involved at Manchester United? How is Jose Mourinho going to give those players the development and trust they need when he won't give Rashford and Martial a run of games? It is interesting because those three players have the potential to be fantastic talents of the future. I just question how we're going to ever get the best out of those with Jose Mourinho in charge, because he just doesn't want to seem to... I don't think he can, in fairness, give the run of games to those players, because when Sir Alex Ferguson used to do it, he'd have 8 senior pros around them that he could chuck a Ryan Giggs in, he could chuck a Ronaldo in, he could chuck a young player in and know that they're going to surrounded by winners who are going to nurture them through. But can Mourinho do it now? I don't know whether he can. And I think Martial and Rashford suffer from that a little bit. And it's interesting to see what our future youth will do, because the reality is, when you look at what Jose Mourinho likes to bring through his youth, I suppose touching on Scott McTominay there briefly, Scott McTominay 6'4", physically he can deal with it. There we go. With regards centre-backs in January, I think the Alderweireld dynamic is quite interesting. I think 2 weeks ago, everyone would have said Alderweireld was going to sign a new deal at Spurs, but I think Spurs are going to struggle this season. Yes, they've got their new stadium whenever they get in there. But Spurs, as I said at the weekend, Spurs were a very good team last year, but they've not done anything. It's like Spurs were a nice jumper last year, but it's been through the wash a lot now. It's looking tired, it's looking frayed. It's still a nice jumper. It's still a good jumper, but it's looking tired. Everybody else has gone out and, you know, they've got new jumpers over the summer, but Spurs haven't. They are looking like a very tired team. We should have beat them. They beat us. They got 3 points. We're level on points with them 2 games later. They've lost 2 games on the bounce. And I think, you know, Alderweireld may well be looking to leave Spurs. I don't think he will sign a new contract. The interesting thing is, I was right over the summer. I said United aren't in for Alderweireld, despite loads of people saying that we were. I said, I don't really think we are. I don't think we can be in for Alderweireld because he's too expensive and Daniel Levy doesn't like to deal with United. But he has got that release clause coming up next summer for £25 million. And I just wonder, in January, it's a bit like a free deal, isn't it? Spurs are probably going to have to try and take 30 million in January rather than losing for 25 in the summer or 35. And maybe United might be tempted by that, because I think the problem that Manchester United have at the moment, and it's not rocket science, it's that Mourinho just doesn't trust his centre-backs, which is why we've seen Herrera in a back three helping them out. It's why we've seen Matic playing a lot deeper. It's now why we're seeing Fellaini playing as a centre-back. It's to support the centre-backs who he doesn't trust. So I would be amazed if we're not looking at a centre-back in the summer, in January. And I think maybe United seriously probably will look at Alderweireld now, where in the summer I don't think it was possible to do that at all. You can't make an impact on a game with only 10 minutes of playing time, says Mancunian Red MUFC. Sell the Deadwood and Darmian should be sold, says Rowan. And Dybala is useless in a bus parking team, says Morlat 113. I'd agree with that. I think Manchester United have got the midfielders to get the best out of the attackers that we've got. But the reality is, I wasn't going to do this show. I was going to do a sort of review of the game against Watford. But then I thought, actually, I can review that game in a sentence. We had 9 shots on goal against Brighton. We had 9 shots on goal against Watford. We had over 20 shots against Burnley and 20 shots against Spurs. So the Watford performance was more reflective of the Brighton game than it was the other 2 games. I don't think we were the attacking... over the international break, we spoke about how we need to... Hopefully we'll keep the momentum of the Spurs and Burnley game and be more attacking and create more chances. Against Watford, we didn't. Now, you could say that's because Watford are a better team, and that's fine. I'm happy with that excuse. But we didn't create anywhere near enough chances, even though we should have gone in at 3-0 at half-time. What I liked about the Watford performance was we were clinical. We didn't have many chances, but we were clinical. And if Pogba takes that one on half-time, we go in at 3-0 at half-time and the game is over. So that was nice from United, but we took a step back. I think we went a little bit defensive because we knew Watford were going to be a difficult game. So United, what we're going to do over the next few weeks is going to be quite interesting, I think, against Wolves and that. But we are playing very, very defensive in the way that we set our team up when we haven't got the ball. Fellaini's dropping in as an extra centre back. Matic is then shielding that defence. And then you've got Pogba, Sanchez and Lingard making themselves busy whilst Lukaku stays up front, which is useful. It is useful away from home, but there's a real lack of trust around our centre-backs. And then when you couple that with Valencia on the decline, that makes us quite, we have to be defensive. Mourinho has to be defensive because he doesn't trust his centre-backs. And I would say that's you know what I think about Mourinho. I don't think it's going to work out, but I'll back him while he's the manager. And but I think that's something that Mourinho has always got in his back pocket, isn't it? I'm having to play Fellaini as an unorthodox centre-back. I'm having to keep Matic deeper. I'm having to use Herrera every now and again because I wasn't given what I wanted in the summer, which clearly was another centre-back. And I just wonder if in January that's what we'll go for. But it's a shame. I do think Eric Bailly is one to keep in your mind over the next few months because there is no reason for him not to be playing at the moment, and it's quite worrying that he isn't, to be honest with you. We've got 1,400 people watching on a Monday lunchtime, which is absolutely fantastic. You really are brilliant. So please do drop a like on the video if you are watching. The live comments are the lifeblood of the United Stand. You are the United Stand army if you're watching live. I know some of you are asleep and you're now watching this back saying, please, I'm important. you are important. Everybody who watches and gets involved in the United Stand is important. But I do appreciate the live comments. So look, my summary is I don't think we need to be signing any more attacking players. I wouldn't mind a backup for Lukaku, but I don't think we need any more attacking players. The one thing I would be slightly negative about Mourinho is I think he's done a lot of good things at United. I think he's progressed us from where Van Gaal was, but one line, he's failed when it comes to the attacking side of the team. Mkhitaryan was a failure. Mata he's not got the best out of. Martial he's not got the best out of. Sanchez not got the best out of. Rashford not got the best out of. That's 5 players. And I do feel that Lingard's regressing a little bit recently as well. He's not that player he was in January. Lukaku's been a success, but I think Lukaku's a success because he's a proven Premier League striker, and if you give him chances, he'll score. I think the midfield is up in the air, but that line between Lukaku and the midfield is where Mourinho has failed the most at Manchester United, and that is the area where we would score goals that I would describe as good goals, which I don't think we score enough of. We don't score enough good creative goals because Mourinho has failed in that area. I don't think he should be allowed to bring a Dybala in or an Ozil in because, why should we bring players like that in and discard your Martials, your Matas, your Mkhitaryan? Well, Mkhitaryan's already gone. Your Sanchez. These are good players. He needs to get the best out of those players, and the only way you do that is by using more Pogbas, more Freds, and he has got those as well. So that's where United need to improve. Let's get the best out of what we've got. I think the glaring issue with United at the moment is why we're having to use Matic and Fellaini so deep to look after our centre-backs. So that's where we need to improve either in January or next summer. He needs to get 2 centre-backs like we used to have with Ferdinand and Vidic, where the whole team would go forward because they had trust in those 2 centre-backs. 2 centre-backs are enough, but at the moment, as was proved against Brighton, he doesn't trust his centre-backs. That's where we need reinforcements. But I do believe that Eric Bailly can be that. Get rid of Jose, says Smooth Gaming. Well, he always says that. I think Dybala would be a good signing because he can play both wings, attacking mid and striker, and would be good for the next manager. Yeah, look, I think it'd be a good signing, but I don't think he's a good signing for Mourinho. Martial on the left, Rashford on the right, says RSL Joker. Keep watching United Stand, just love it, says Scott Kent. Remember tonight, it is the Skype show at 8 o'clock. So you can Skype and you can have your say. Looking forward to that tonight. If you want more of me, pick the eye in the top right hand corner. Sophie, me and Flex from last night. Great to have Sophie back. Really good show. I'll see you all tonight at 8 o'clock.